Good evening, Americans, and welcome to the Ed Show live from New York. What do you say we go deep on Deflategate? Let's get to work.
I didn't alter the ball in any way.
That's important to us that we respect the game.
I was shocked to learn of the news reports about the footballs.
The big story in football is the footballs themselves.
So-called Deflategate.
Sucking the air. But what's going on here?
I have no explanation for what happened.
This cheating
is not in the spirit of the game.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
It's real easy to deflate a football.
I was shocked.
Oh, that'll be good.
We play with what's out there.
Good to have you with us tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. We start this evening with breaking news on Deflategate. That's what it's infamously called now. At this hour, the NFL still hasn't made a ruling, and Patriots head coach Bill Belichick is denying any knowledge of the deflated footballs. He didn't know anything about it. Moments ago, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady stepped out and addressed the media and played innocent.
I didn't alter the ball in any way. I have a process that I go through before every game where I go in and I pick the balls that I want to, the footballs that I want to use for the game. Our equipment guys do a great job of breaking the balls in. They have the process that they go through. When I pick those footballs out, at that point, to me, they're perfect. I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them, putting any air in them, taking any air out. To me, those balls are perfect, and that's what I expect when I show up on the field. So, that happened obviously on Sunday night. It was the same process that I always go through. I didn't think anything of it. Obviously I woke up Monday morning and answered a question on the radio about it. And that was the first I really heard of it.
Okay, interesting. He checks the balls out, then the equipment guys go through a process to break them in. Brady was asked flat out if he was a cheater.
I don't believe so. I feel like I've always played within the rules. I would never do anything to break the rules. I believe in fair play, and I respect the league and everything that they're doing to try to create a very competitive playing field for all the NFL teams. It's a very competitive league. Every team is trying to do the best they can to win every week. I believe in fair play. And
earlier in the day, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick gave his own press conference. With his reputation on the line, Belichick strongly defended himself from the controversy.
When I came in Monday morning, I was shocked to learn of the news reports about the footballs. I had no knowledge whatsoever of this situation until Monday morning. I would say I've learned a lot more about this process in the last 3 days than I knew or had talked about it in the last 40 years. I think we all know that quarterbacks, kickers, specialists have certain preferences on footballs. They know a lot more about it than I do. They're a lot more sensitive to it than I am. And I hear them comment on it from time to time. But I can tell you, and they will tell you, that there is never any sympathy whatsoever from me on that subject. Zero. And Tom's personal preferences on his footballs are something that he can talk about in much better detail and information than I could possibly provide. I could tell you that in my entire coaching career, I have never talked to any player, staff member about football air pressure. That is not a subject that I have ever brought up.
On Wednesday, the godfather of football, John Madden, came out blaming Brady and defending Belichick. Madden, in a long quote, said this: "It would have to be the quarterback's idea." That was the gist of his comments. That's a direct quote. It would have been the quarterback's idea. That's how Madden reads it. Madden went on to say he believes Belichick knew nothing about it. On Tuesday, league sources told ESPN 11 of 12 footballs used by the Patriots in Sunday's AFC Championship game were underinflated. The report claimed that the balls were underinflated by 2 pounds per square inch. I think that's about 15%. Sources told ESPN the Colts had concerns about underinflated balls earlier this season. During a game on November 16th, Colts safety Mike Adams intercepted 2 footballs from Tom Brady. Adams gave the balls to the Colts equipment manager to save them. Both times there were concerns about the footballs feeling underinflated. Sources said the Colts raised concerns with the NFL. The league was reportedly aware of the issue going into Sunday's game, the AFC Championship game. A league source told NBC Sports Pro Football Talk the game balls were properly checked by officials before Sunday's game. According to NBC Sports, when the balls left the possession of the referee, the air pressure was correct. It's not known when or how the footballs were deflated after they left the referee. Another report out today brings up an NFL rule change from back in 2006. NBC Sports Pro Football Talk points out in 2006, Brady and Peyton Manning successfully lobbied the league to let every team provide its own footballs to use on offense. So in other words, you could travel with your own footballs and use them in the game. Prior to that, it was always the home team that supplied the footballs. Well, every quarterback has preferences with their footballs. Aaron Rodgers likes his football fully inflated. A New York Times article from 2013 revealed that Eli Manning likes his footballs broken in. In a radio interview back in 2011, Brady said that he likes his footballs underinflated when talking about Rob Gronkowski's spiking the football.
When Gronk scores is like 8 touchdowns a year, he spikes the ball and he deflates the ball, which I love that because I like, the deflated ball. But I feel bad for that football because he puts everything he can into those spikes.
Brady addressed those comments in today's press conference.
I obviously read that I said that. I like them at the way that I like them, which is at 12.5. I mean, to me, that's a perfect grip for the football. So, I think that particular term, deflated or inflated, whatever norm you're using, you could probably use. I would never do anything outside of the rules of play.
Here's the bottom line. Deflating footballs is against NFL rules. The intense scrutiny the Patriots are under right now is related to Spygate back in 2007. It's kind of a credibility issue here. You see, back then the Patriots were found guilty of illegally videotaping the Jets defense and stealing their signals. Now the Patriots are once again under suspicion of breaking the rules. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Do you consider deflating the football cheating? Text A for yes, text B for no to 67622. You can leave a comment on our blog at ed.msnbc.com. There was one thing that Brady said during the press conference that I totally believe as an old quarterback. When he said that he checks the footballs out to see if he wants to use them or not, and then gives them to the managing portion of the team, gives it to the managers, the ball boys, and they take care of it. I get that. Because there's a lot of balls in the National Football League everywhere that are what quarterbacks do call as a blemish ball. This one feels, this one's okay. Yeah, I'll use that one. No, this one's too fat. I don't like the texture of this one. That one doesn't feel very good. The laces are kind of screwy on this one. That one's moved over. I don't want that one. It's the idiosyncrasies of a football. And whoever kicks a football, whoever throws a football, whoever catches a football has all these little idiosyncrasies that they have developed with the equipment over the years. You want your helmet a certain way, you want your wristbands a certain way, you tape your ankles a certain way. That's just how goofy the game is. For more on this, let me bring in a couple of guys who collectively have over 20 years of experience in the National Football League. Dante Stallworth, a former receiver for the New England Patriots. And also with us tonight, Sage Rosenfels, a former quarterback. Gentlemen, great to have you with us tonight.
Thanks for having us on, Ed.
Dante, you first.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Dante, you first. Did you ever catch a deflated ball from Tom Brady?
Oh, man, this is it's an interesting subject, but no, I haven't. And I don't honestly. I don't know what a ball 2 pounds under air pressure would feel like. Sage could probably talk to that better, being a quarterback, but quarterbacks and as well as kickers and punters, people are leaving those guys out as well. Those guys are very meticulous about the way they handle their footballs and what their footballs feel like. They want to be one with their footballs, right, Sage?
What about that, Sage?
They definitely do. Well, yeah, there is a process that balls go through before they hit the practice field or games. They come in brand new out of the box and they're slick and they're no good to throw. They're almost impossible to throw sometimes. And the equipment managers, they spend a lot of time, and some teams more than others. When I was with the Minnesota Vikings, the head equipment manager spent hours and hours working on those footballs with dirt, with the steam room, with all types of things to get them to where they really felt like a worn-in football, just like a worn-in baseball glove. So there is definitely a lot of things that they do to get them where it's comfortable to throw. Every quarterback's different. Some quarterbacks can throw a ball right out of the box, and some guys are really, really meticulous about it.
Some guys are really meticulous about it. So you can relate to what Tom Brady was just saying about he wants to check out every ball, because some do feel different. And to break them in, is important. Now, the term break it in, Sage, is it safe to say that every ball boy or every portion of the equipment team on an NFL team knows exactly how their quarterback likes the ball? Sage?
Well, there's usually a guy or two in that equipment room who's sort of in charge of the balls. And so what happens is they bring in balls early in the week. I practice with them throughout the week, and then usually on Friday night or Saturday morning, as the starting quarterback or the backup quarterbacks, they go in there and they start check them out, and they'll go through maybe 30, 40 footballs that were used throughout the week and put the balls that they like in one bag and throw the other balls in another bag to be used for punting or kicking at practice or something else. And so those 12 or 15 balls that make the game day bag, those obviously travel with the team or they go to the stadium, and then the head official or some official has to obviously check those out before the game. So the quarterback they really have no control after the balls go into that bag. That's the end of it for them. And they just, whatever happens in games, that's the way those balls are.
Dante, did the Patriots practice with deflated balls? Do you have any knowledge of the way they may have handled the nurturing of the footballs and the way they were handled in practice versus a game?
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's a great question that you asked, because in practices, whether if it was snowing outside or raining, he prepared us for whatever the conditions were going to be, and he said it in his press conference that any player that's played for him in the past and guys that play for him now, they understand this. When the ball is wet or when it's going to be raining, he makes sure that all the balls are going to be wet. He puts us in the best position that we can be in as far as the weather goes. So with the game that they played against the Colts, it was raining, it was wet, and he had been preparing those guys, I can guarantee you, all week for that. So to say that they were trying to gain an advantage by the balls being deflated, I'm not buying that. I've been there in those situations, but I mean, the NFL is investigating, so we'll see what happened at the end of the day, hopefully.
Did you ever catch a ball in the NFL with the teams that you played with and thought, gosh, that ball felt a little different, or there was a different texture to it, or you could tell exactly whether it was properly or improperly inflated?
No, not at all. And that's one of the things. I know both of those guys. I know Mike Adams really well, and I know DeQuell Jackson really well. Those are defensive players. Those are my guys, but those are defensive players. They're not used to handling the balls. I'm not saying that they were being misleading or anything, but as a wide receiver and a quarterback, obviously, with Sage, we touch the balls all the time, so we know what they feel like. Defensive guys, that's why they're on that side of the field, because they don't touch the ball too much.
Sage, Tom Brady says he didn't do anything wrong, that the particulars of the football were beyond his attention. You believe that?
I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. I mean, he's not going to say that he did mess with the footballs. I mean, whether you believe him or not, so it doesn't really matter. The NFL is going to do some sort of investigation. They're going to try to find whoever it was, probably some sort of ball boy or manager who possibly deflated those footballs. That's going to be a heck of a journey to try to figure that out. And then once if they do figure that out, they're going to have to find out who told that person to deflate those footballs. So I think it's going to be one of those investigations, like a lot of NFL investigations, that ends up going nowhere.
You think it'll go nowhere? You don't think the league will do anything here?
I think it's going to be really hard to try to find out exactly which ball boy, because there's a couple of them on each side of the field throwing in footballs for each team to try to figure out which ball boy was the one who did it, and then on top of that, try to get one of those guys to sell out his organization or sell out his Hall of Fame quarterback. I just think that it's going to be too tough to get that out of them, and even if they would, I would imagine one of those ball boys, if they did confess to doing it, I don't think they would sell out Tom Brady or Bill Belichick or their organization. I think they'd probably get a pink slip and probably helped out with a nice little check somewhere down the line by somebody.
That's quite a solution. Gentlemen, I want your response that 11 out of 12 balls, as reported by ESPN, were not properly inflated. Dante, what do you make of that?
It's a good question because the way that the footballs are handled before the game, the referees check them just a little bit under 3 hours. It's like 2 hours and 50 minutes before a kickoff. And there's very little time for someone to manipulate those footballs. So to me, that's the important question. And also, did they weigh the balls before the game? And the same thing with the coach. Did they do the same? Did they go through the same process with the coach, weighing the balls before the game, halftime, and after the game? So there's a lot that's going on, and the NFL hopefully can get to the bottom of it all.
And Dante, you would know this from your position. I think that Sage might not admit to this, but aren't quarterbacks kind of the quirkiest guys on the team when it comes to particulars?
You know what? Every single quarterback has
punters without a doubt.
Every single quarterback has their way with the footballs, and it's not just Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or what New York Times reported with Eli Manning. It's every quarterback, every single quarterback.
And Sage, when you pick up the football as a quarterback, you kind of know right away whether you want to throw it or not, don't you?
Yeah, you would know, Ed. You played some quarterback in college up there in Minnesota. So, yeah, I was a pretty particular guy. I didn't like the balls being new, or I hated throwing a wet ball. I didn't like playing in the cold. So I liked them a certain way for sure. There are some quarterbacks you can get the ball right out of the box and throw them. And I will say, of all of this, Tom Brady is probably one of the great quarterbacks of all time and thrown in terrible conditions. If you go back to the Tuck game in the early 2000s against the Raiders in a foot of snow, to all those rainy and cold games and sleet games and snow games in New England and Foxborough, I mean, he's one of the all-time greats to have this happen to. So, I mean, that's what's really surprising and baffling about the whole thing is that he, of all guys, he could probably take a wet sock and throw it 30 yards and make it go straight. So that's what's so surprising about this whole situation.
Dante Stallworth and Sage Rosenfels, great to have both of you with us tonight. And I do want to point out that the NFL used to have stripes on the ball. And the stripe came right around, right like that. And Johnny Unitas didn't like that. So he complained to the NFL, and then they went to half stripes. And then eventually they got rid of all the stripes, and there you have the NFL football the way it is. Bill Rhoden, columnist of the New York Times, great to have you with us today. What do you make all of this?
Well, first of all, to Dante, as a former defensive back, you put him down. We know enough to know a deflated ball was in. We don't care. We catch anything. So.
There you go. What do you make of this, Bill?
Well, I mean, at the surface, it seems so silly. I mean, we're here talking about football, but what we're talking about, and you brought it up, is not that. I mean, going back to Spygate, do we really care about filming the Jets walkthrough? But you do have rules. And if you have an organization that continually pushes rules, breaks rules, it gets to integrity. Do we really care about the deflated balls? Are we saying that Tom Brady isn't great? We're basically asking, why? Why do you do this? And in terms of accountability, if Belichick is a CEO, you are responsible. You have a responsibility for what goes on your watch.
Well, that was the thing that I was kind of questioning in his press conference today, that he's concerned about what kind of football they practice with, and he tries to get him in the toughest position, but he has no idea what kind of football they're using during a game. I thought that was a rather unusual comment.
And then he throws his quarterback under the button, and the quarterback says, well, I don't know. So nobody knows. So there's this rogue gremlin equipment guy somewhere who's going to be the fall guy who's on his own or her own deflated football. I think it goes back to the accountability. It's on your watch. It's on the watch of the CEO, which is Belichick.
So what will the NFL do? What should they do?
Well, what they will do, if in fact they find out that the balls were deflated, what they will do is that they'll throw money at it. The fine draft picks that Belichick doesn't care about.
Yeah.
They'll throw some money that Kraft can take out of it. What they should do is suspend Belichick for the Super Bowl game. You should make sure that he is not at that game, because And New England people say, well, why us? Well, it's you because you keep doing stuff like this. You keep screwing with the integrity of the game. And remember, what we're hearing from Belichick is what we heard from the NFL when it got to Ray Rice.
Yeah.
We didn't see it. We didn't know. You know, it's the same pattern of not really dealing with the truth.
Athletes will try any advantage they possibly can to put themselves in a better position psychologically to help them win. But isn't it interesting that the defensive backs, that one DB from the Colts, and they noticed that the ball was deflated?
With all due respect to Donnie, yes.
but the fact is, if one team recognized it, I mean, it's just not the team that's doing it.
And it's not the first
so they
time.
So they must have done it to. Can we come to the conclusion that they may have done it to the point where another team would recognize it? What does that mean?
Yeah, the guy intercepts the ball. It feels like a little beach ball, and it says something's wrong with it.
So what's the end game here? What's going to happen here? They're going to cash whip them, and then it's over with. We've got a Super Bowl coming up.
Oh, God. If they find out that they did it, what they should do is suspend Belichick for the game. I suspect that what they're going to do, if they did do it, they're just going to fine him and take some draft picks. And I think that's the totally wrong way to go.
All right. Bill Rhoden, New York Times. Great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so